Welcome to 1001, an album odyssey, where each week 5 friends bring you 5 albums from the book. 1001 albums you must hear before you die. We don't choose the albums, we don't curate this list. Each weekday, a random album from the list is emailed to all 5 of us. We check it out, we discuss, and then we bring it to you right here, along with some original music every week. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but every week
you haven't.
We've got an original. This one's coming out of Nash's studio. Patio Furniture Studio. Check us out. Anyway, this week we've got A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles, G.I. by Germs, Future Days by Can, The Sounds of India by Ravi Shankar, and last but not least, the Smiths' classic Meat is Murder. Let's kick it off with the Beatles.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night, I should be sleeping like a log, but when I get home to you...
Thanks, Nash. That was the start of the Beatles' third studio album and title track, A Hard Day's Night. That iconic opening chord, played by George Harrison, starts off the track. Musicologist and author Jeremy Summerly, in his 2019 book, What is the Opening Chord in Hard Day's Night?, makes the claim that the opening chord is most talked about pop music start of all time. Harrison, who played the chord in a 2001 interview published in Omnibus Press, said it was an F with a G on top, and added that if you you'd have to ask Paul about the bass note. He wasn't sure. So sort of a mysterious start to a great album at the peak of Beatlemania. In 1988 book, The Beatle Recording Sessions, longtime Beatle producer George Martin said, we knew... Oh, thanks, Nash.
Spin that 60 sound.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's time for Liverpool's favorite game show. Thanks, Nash. Wheel of Beatles.
All right.
That's that part of the song. All right. So
stop.
Who would
Bankrupt.
like to be a contestant?
Me.
Take the first spin. Jordan, go ahead and spin.
I'm spinning. And stop.
No whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
Wrong game show.
Okay, I'm here.
Nash.
Oh, no. Bankrupt.
Oh,
Dun,
my
dun,
gosh. Oh, you landed on bankrupt. I'm sorry, Jordan. You lose your whole turn.
Wow.
On to the next contestant.
Me.
Jake. Yeah. In that wheel.
Yes, and I'm spinning now. Come on, baby. Big money.
I don't even know what the fuck I'm
All
doing.
right. You won. Unlimited quid.
Oh, yes.
Would you like to buy a vowel?
I'd like to buy a vowel.
All right.
This is awesome.
It's one word,
Okay.
12 letters. And what did you purchase?
Wait, what's the category?
Is it Beatlemania?
Is it
Category is thing or names.
Okay, names. Dun, 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 dun. Get your pet spayed and neutered.
Would you like to guess?
I'd like.
What?
That
What
was
happened
awesome.
to the show,
That
man?
wasn't part of the show.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
One word, 12 letters.
I don't
Would you like
think
to buy a
Jake's
vowel?
there
You have
anymore.
unlimited quid.
Okay.
That was cool.
Mississippi.
You have to buy a letter.
Would anyone like to solve the puzzle?
He got a letter.
There's a-
You gotta guess, Jake. You got unlimited quid. Come on.
McCartney.
Heartbreak.
I'll tell you, there's
Heartbreak
two
Hotel.
consonants. The same consonant starts the word and ends the word.
That's different than a continent.
Asia.
Nash, would you like to play?
It's Rickenbacker.
Is it Kuntka?
Oh, right. Rickenbacker. We just concluded our first ever round of Spin That Beatle Wheel.
So that went well.
All right. Yeah, Rickenbacker. It's what Harrison played. He played the Rickenbacker 360-12, which is a 12-string electric guitar. And he played it on this track as well as 3 others on the album. And it sort of went on to define the 1964 jangle sound.
Where are the Rickenbackers made?
I'm assuming Germany? I don't know.
Nope.
That's a great question.
Rickenbacker, Australia.
Yeah. No, Rickenbacker is an American company.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I assumed the name was German. It's a German-American, I guess.
Wait, which album are we talking about?
I don't know. I've totally lost.
They're made
The
in
Beatles'
Santa
Hard
Ana.
Day's Night.
That's
They're
right,
made,
that's right.
They're made
that's right.
here
The
in
opening
Santa
track.
Ana.
They're made in Santa. Well,
Santa
were they
Ana.
Made in '64 in Santa Ana?
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
they've always
They
been
were?
made in
Okay.
Santa Ana. Yeah.
Santana.
Yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of Krauts that came over here, but you know.
Krauts, that's going to come up later.
Oh wow, it's starting to just randomly play shit. Right on. See, this is what happens.
We'll get back to the album.
So the answer is Rickenbacker.
Okay. That's what I was
I didn't
going
even know where the game came from.
That's what I was
didn't know
gonna
what
say.
we were trying to guess.
So back to George Martin. He said, we knew it would open both the film, because this is also a motion picture, and we wanted a particularly strong and effective beginning. The strident guitar chord was the perfect launch. So yeah, the Rickenbacker 12-string electrified guitar. Let's skip ahead to the end of the LP side A to listen to the album's first single. Nash, please play a little of.
Money, money can buy me love.
So McCartney penned the 12-bar blues classic. The Beatles were staying in Paris, and the song was a worldwide hit. The first Beatles single to be released without their trademark background harmonies, but nonetheless, it was a success. Let's go back a few tracks to listen to one of the Beatles' biggest top streaming tracks on the album aside from the title track. Any guesses what that would be? We're not playing the game show anymore, so just throw out a guess. Anyway.
So what are we guessing one more time?
What is the most streamed album track aside from the title track, A Hard Day's Night?
Buckle your
Keep playing
seatbelts.
the game.
No, I'm not playing because I know.
You know it?
Well,
We'll say
the
it.
answer's right
It's
in front
been
of me.
streamed over 240 million times as of
Can't Buy Me
a
Love.
few days ago. No.
Oh, except for the title track.
Well, the title track was
That's not
Hard
the
Day's
title
Night.
track.
That was a good guess, though.
And I
Just
love
gonna do
her?
that all night.
And I love her! We have a
Oh,
winner!
there we
All right.
go.
Dark is the sky. I know this love of mine will never die, and I love her.
Another McCartney classic. The song has gone on to be covered by artists such as Esther Phillips, Santo and Johnny, and even Kurt Cobain. The Beatles recorded the song on George Harrison's 21st birthday.
Wow.
In fact, when the album was released, Lennon and Starr were the oldest at 23, McCartney was 22, and Harrison was 21. At these young ages, the Beatles were overwhelmingly the most successful music act of 1964, dominating the music industry with unparalleled commercial success. They set a record holding the top 5 positions on Billboard Hot 100 and had 9 songs on the Billboard year-end chart of 1964. I would like to finish with one of Lennon's compositions on this album, the B-side to the U.S. single for Hard Day's Night. Nash, let's hear a little of.
I should have known better with a girl like you, that I would love everything that you do.
How about that harmonica?
Apparently, he was not very happy with his harmonica playing, Lennon, when they first recorded it, and had a bit of a hissy fit, and they had to come back and record it later. But yeah, I think it sounds nice.
Well, they recorded it later. Is that the original hissy fit version?
No, I think. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they used part of that or they went ahead and the next night they recorded more. So I don't really know how they put it together. I do know that it talks about how the mono and the stereo have slightly different harmonica recordings. So I'm not sure which one they used for what, but yeah, I guess if you have the mono and stereo version, you can hear a difference in the harmonica. But like I said, in addition to the album, the Beatles released a film, which was in the musical comedy genre, and they released it in 1964. It was directed by Richard Lester, and it was very successful. It was even nominated for 2 Academy Awards, one for original screenplay. The film was made for, in today's sum, about $6 million, and it made over $140 million at the box office. So it was very successful. The album and the film are definitely they're a time capsule for probably the height of Beatlemania, maybe coming off the highest part, but still, they were bigger than Jesus. So just like Lennon said. Thank you. For that, I'm going to give this album a 5. What do you think, Jake?
I mean, how can you not love this album? It's just such a classic album. Usually not a giant fan of the Beatles, but wow. I had a coworker who he was older than me and just absolutely loved the Beatles, and really, I mean, it was him that introduced it to me in a way that I just have never really appreciated it before. So always, anytime I hear the Beatles, he has since passed away. So it means a lot to me. This album in particular, it reminds me of my buddy. So have that emotional attachment. But by all means, 5 stars for me.
Oh, very nice. All right, Jordan, what do you say?
Yeah, this is a 5-star album. This has always been one of my favorites. I think it's interesting. It's the only album that's actually written entirely by Lennon and McCarthy. Mm-hmm. So, interesting fact. And it's just been kind of one of my go-tos. I actually have the American version, which has got soundtrack orchestral music interwoven in between it. And that's also kind of nice in its own way. But this British version is definitely 5 stars.
When you, I have a question. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if it matters, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it. Sure. It's like now we all know the songs that John wrote or Paul wrote. Do you still like to just say Lennon and McCarthy, or?
I mean, I guess I would probably say it's a Paul song or a John song or whatever, just based upon who.
Because I mean, Paul really sort of owned this album. If you look at the ones he wrote, as opposed to John.
Yeah. But I think at this time, to be honest with you, there was a lot more partnership in their songwriting because they kind of sat in a room and just worked on things together. So I think it was a truer sense of Lennon and McCarthy for this one versus a lot of the other albums that they did after this.
All right. Fine. Mike, what do you think?
Great review, Chuck. I think this album, on top of what everybody else has said, it's their album that they weren't just doing covers, and the 12 string was a relatively new thing that set the stage for a lot of other folky type of rock. So I appreciated all of that, and I gave it a 5 stars as well.
All right, Ryan.
Uh-oh.
You gonna keep the 5 going? Or
no, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I don't like this type of Beatles sound as much. I like the later Beatles a lot more. I like when they were experimenting. I do think that there's a lot of elements that are great about it. That's why it's a 4.5. Not something I ever listened to.
That's a very high score considering I know you don't like this era of music. So
no, I don't. But I mean, listening to it is absolutely a pleasure. I love listening to this. But if I'm going to listen to Beatles, I'm not going to listen to this.
Yeah, I think like everything like we've discussed, it's like you're in the mood to hear maybe 70s Beatles, or you're in the mood to hear 60s Beatles.
Well,
it's
and
sort of like
the thing about this is you can tell that it is absolutely miles above everything else at the time, and still is, and all that. It's very relevant. It's very great music. It's just doesn't appeal to me as much. That's all.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, guys.
Right on, Chuck. Thank you very much. Next is GI by the Germs.
That's right. GI standing for Germs Incognito. That's right. Good thing I researched
GI
that. Yeah, this is an album coming out of 1979, so you can kind of wrap your head around that. Let's jump straight into the first sample with their signature song.
That's what a British dude sounds like when he's tripping over his own dick.
But they're American, though.
Okay.
It's nice that there was no singing.
Well, I did try to choose some tracks that were specifically focused on the music, although they don't do a lot of that. And a lot of their songs are very, very short. We just heard Lexicon Devil. That was the last 15 seconds of the very short track. The lyrics just, I don't know, they feel chaotic. The whole thing feels chaotic to me. Yeah, and this album did not land with me. And through my research, I found that the album itself is often praised as a foundational, hardcore punk record, but to my ears, it just feels so much more chaotic and anxious and I don't know, grainy than it does compelling. The songs come off raw to the point of they sound underdeveloped, I guess, and even at times
Rock tartar.
Yes, basically. It's just it's hard to follow what's going on. I can't understand the lyrics. I had to look up a lot of the lyrics. And I get the attitude and I get the influence, but I think if you're looking for musically engaging or refined, this is probably not for you. It left me feeling frustrated. So, anyway, let's get into a couple different tracks so you can judge for yourself. I kind of want to rapid fire a few here just so you can get the feel of what this album's like. This next track is fast paced and it sets the tone for the album. It's their opening track, What We Do Is Secret. It's short, it's fast, just like that sample was. The whole song is 44 seconds. Supposedly that track helped, or was synonymous with the band's identity. So just keeping it quick, keeping it sharp, and then moving on. So anyway. That was Land of Treason. It's a little darker, has a more political edge to it. It manages to build tension with this grinding, repetitive riff that just gets really old really fast. Right up next, we're going to hear Richie Dagger's Crime. Sounds very similar to Land of Treason. They all sort of sound the same to me. But yeah, I mean, that's one of their more structured songs where it has more of the traditional chorus verse mix in there. Up next, we're going to hear Communist Eyes. Yeah. So you kind of.
I feel your enthusiasm, Jake.
Well, look, I'm trying. I mean,
No, you're
it's
not.
it's really. There's definitely. I can understand the punk influence. I get it, and at the time, I think it was probably really groundbreaking and super popular with the underground crowd.
Imagine being in one of those shows.
Oh, for sure.
Have you ever gone to the Smell in L.A.?
No.
That was a very cool little venue. I don't think it's around anymore, but you would see shows like that where it was just like, 50, 100 people, and it would have energy like this. And it's a lot different when you're there, I suppose.
I bet. Well, everyone's kind of, thrashing, moshing. And apparently through some of my research, you could tell that they're known for their very energetic shows where they get really, crazy towards the end and, breaking instruments, all that good stuff. Yeah. So, GI, who the hell are the Germs? This is the Germs' only full-length studio album. Excuse me. Fronted by the chaotic and iconic Darby Crash. I don't know anything about Darby Crash, but maybe you guys do. This is okay. All right.
Well, I know that
I'm starting to wish I wouldn't have given Nash the sound effects.
That's my whole intention.
What were you saying, Jordan?
Well, I had heard that he'd killed himself with the hopes of becoming kind of immortalized, but it sort of backfired because wasn't it around the time Reagan was shot or something?
Oh, it was the same day. Or no, it wasn't Reagan. It was, I think it was John Lennon.
It was John Lennon. Yeah, it was basically something that totally trumped a minor punk rock band.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So.
All right. Well, yeah, this apparently was a defining record of early hardcore punk scene in Los Angeles. Album produced by Joan Jett, which was, for me, a little bit surprising. Released on Slash Records, and of course known for raw aggression, nihilistic themes, and a total disregard for polish. And I think all of that comes through loud and clear. So who are we talking about? As I mentioned, Darby Crash on vocals. He is the front man. He apparently deliberately tried to model himself, especially in his live performances after Jim Morrison, in terms of being chaotic and his mythology. Also, you have Pat Smear on guitar, those raw, jagged riffs. Of course, Pat Smear later joined Nirvana and Foo Fighters. That's right. You also have...
Oh, we saw him with... wasn't he part of the Pearl Jam set too, Mike?
I don't...
I think Pat Smear was playing with I want to say that
he gets around.
Yeah, he's one of the. I could be wrong. I'm going to look it up. But by the way, it was John Lennon's death. Oh, just look that up. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Interesting little fun fact.
Fun fact.
On bass, you have Lorna Doom, and on drums, you have someone named Don Bowles. So that is who the band is. You're talking about some explosive energy, hardcore energy, some pretty crazy guitar riffs, of course, super fast, super chaotic, super anxious, as I've said. All of it leaves me feeling angry, I guess, frustrated, wanting to just throw the album out the window. We have one more sample off of this album, and it is called American Leather. So I don't know about you guys, but they're singing so fucking fast. I could not understand what they were saying, so I had to look this up, and I want to read it for you just so you can get a taste of what you just heard. Looking for a way out. I put my foot out of line. Really like to break out. I feel so confined. American leather. The poisonous members. Not alone. Not together. They're American leather. It sounds way better like that. Anyway, not my cup of tea, as I said, but the album apparently did matter. Helped define the coming blueprint for American hardcore punk. Influenced bands such as Black Flag, Circle Jerks, Minor Threat, all of those I don't really care about. It certainly captures the chaos of the late 70s LA punk scene better than any record, apparently, according to experts.
Okay, so quick fact check. We did see Pat Smear, but it was at the Foo Fighters show.
Well, he was
that
on.
would make sense.
He wasn't there live, right? He was on.
He was
the one
on
the video.
on the video thing. Yeah,
I broke my leg. I'm not
right.
here.
He couldn't show
Pussy.
up. But he has played a little bit with Pearl Jam, but it wasn't at that show that we were at. So there.
All right. Well, yeah. Good to know. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
Don't be sorry. Anyway, that's my very fast breakdown of this very fast album. And again, not for me. I give this album 1 star. Will never return. Never return. And that's fine, right? That's fine. You don't have to love them all, I think.
It's perfectly fine.
Just fine. I want the one that makes me sound like a loser.
The bankrupt.
Yeah. And that's basically how I feel. Mike, what about you, Mike?
Yeah, I couldn't dig it. I appreciate that they were some sort of, raw energy, but I couldn't get beyond the singing. 1.5 stars for me.
Okay, Ryan.
I gave it 3.5. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. Yeah, I did, and I love the energy. I love what it does to music. I think it kind of gives a fuck you to everything. And
You remember our First Amendment discussion earlier?
Yes.
So we got to let him have
That's
it.
right.
I mean,
It doesn't mean we don't. It doesn't mean we can't make fun of him.
you can do whatever. The
We
fuck
also
you
have
want.
our First Amendment rights. Yes.
That's exactly right.
It's all part of the game. But no, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Okay.
And I kind of dig some of the early punk scene, and I've hung around a lot of people that were into these things and, played music with them and stuff. And the Germs was always something that came up a lot. And I think it's more the energy from the live shows and that kind of thing. So it's a shame, not a lot of people got a chance to see these guys, right? It was kind of like a phenom. It was a very small blip. Right, because it wasn't very long that they were around.
No, they weren't around too long.
And so like the few that got to see him were like it's a legendary thing, So
All right. Well,
Hold
is
on.
it
I have to ask
legendary?
you a question, Ryan, since you're giving it a 3.5. So, why do you think this album is on the list of 1,000?
Well, absolutely should be on the list. It's something that it defined music for a whole bunch of people, and it's something that is different. It's raw. And it's actually pretty well produced. And Joan Jett getting involved with that, I kind of going down that rabbit hole. I enjoyed this. I listened to it several times. I'll listen to it again. And I like some of that early punk because when we grew up in high school and everything, the punk scene.
But what sets it
annoyed me.
apart from other punk at the time? Why?
I don't think
why is it
there's a lot of
worthy?
stuff that sets it apart from that, but I'm drawn to the kind of more energetic music, anyways.
Yeah.
And to me, it just appealed.
So
to me.
basically, the attitude.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well, that's good. Thanks, Ryan.
I don't like to stare at my shoes. I like to jump around and be a fucking animal.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why
You do.
beta blockers fucking go fuck themselves.
Wow.
Oh my. Okay.
So they'll-
This took a turn. And Chuck, what about you, Chuck?
Well, I want to say I enjoyed your reading of the lyrics. It was like Deep Thoughts with Darby Crash.
I think you should do a whole version of the album like
Yes.
that.
I think that
I
would
would
be
probably
awesome.
much rather hear that version of the
Just
album.
spoken word. Yeah. No, we need to do that.
And like
work
wind
on
chimes
that.
in the
Yeah.
background.
I'll work on that.
Well, that'll be our warm-up exercise for the
I think
thing.
when we were talking about this on the text chain, I think Mike was the one that let us know that when they started, they couldn't play instruments.
Right.
I think
And
that's
it-
cool,
and-
too.
So I guess like in a lot of ways, they're sort of like the ethos of the DIY punk, and maybe that's why they made the list. I don't know. I mean, I'll give them some credit for that, I guess. But I mean, even with the neat sort of production on this album, I kept finding myself going, if I want to listen to punk, there are so many other punk bands from this time that actually make quality music. So it was hard for me to. Obviously they like the Sex Pistols. You know, if you even look at a picture of Darby Crash, he's basically trying to rip off Sid Vicious's look. You know, the Sex Pistols are amazing. Really good guitar playing, at least for me. And if you look at other smaller punk bands from LA at the time, I'm drawing blanks, but they had some good licks and they had some great singles that actually made it to radio airplay because in college settings and stuff like that. I don't know too many. I mean, this is so underground. It's almost like it needs another name besides hardcore punk, like maybe basement punk, or I don't know. Like you have to give it you know how we have garage rock, which sort of like is letting people know that they might not have been the best musicians and they're, you know, might not have the best equipment, but they're doing it from the garage and they got this attitude and the vibe. Like, I don't know. We need a name for this band and this album that signifies that, like, I don't know, Fisher Price punk or something. I don't know, but it's a one.
Dumpster punk.
Perfect.
Oh, I like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
They would probably own that. And I guess that leaves me next. Well, I'm actually somewhere between you all, and I'm going 2.5 because I actually like the music, but it starts to get a little tiresome, and the vocals just, not happening with the vocals. But sometimes I got to tell myself, just listen to the other things that are there too, you know, try to, you know, focus on something that's more pleasant. But it's fun. It's got good energy. But again, I'm not going to go listening to this all the time.
You had to like Zen meditate to get through the album.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
But you know, that's why it's influential to me.
Okay.
You see,
right.
Everyone gets something different from it, and it taught me a different way to appreciate music that I find intolerable.
All right.
Thank you. Glad that's over. Next up is something completely awesome.
Something completely different.
Future Days by Can.
All right. So I first learned about this band when I was a freshman in college, all bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, working the bread bar, sweeping those crumbs, making sure that people had their rye and their wheat. There was a guy who would sit right next to the bread bar and, you know, just talk anyone's ear off who would be willing to listen. He was an upperclassman. And I was kind of a captive audience because I was literally stationed to work right there. So he would just talk to me all day for the whole shift, twice a week. But that's cool. But anyway, one of the things he really would talk about, though, it actually started to get really interesting talking to this guy because he really loved music, and I kind of like was interested in a lot of stuff he was, and he was just going off about Can. I'd never heard of them before. He's like, oh man, it's this crazy German band, like all just with their drums, just oh my god. And then there's like this Japanese singer, and it's just like whoa, you know. And it was a lot of those types of conversations. But he would get into a few more specifics because he actually knew what he was talking about. But it made me curious. But you know, back in those days, I couldn't just go rush out and listen to it because you can't stream it, obviously. And then it wasn't readily available at the warehouse or your local CD shop because, you know, you had to get it as an import. And I wasn't about to pony up some, you know, big bucks for an import if I'd never heard it. But when Napster came around, I thought, now's my chance. And I started downloading all this stuff, and I was like, oh, this stuff is pretty cool. And then that's when I really started getting into Can. And I remember driving some snowy nights through Ithaca in the middle of the dark, just like with this meditative music setting the tone. But here we go. We're going to start with a clip from track 1, Future Days. Let's hit it, Nash. So just this meditative groove, you know, about the first, it took a while for this first track to kind of build. It was really subtle, some silence, a little bit of splashing sounds, kind of very subtle rhythms happening. And then it kind of starts to kick in around 2.5 minutes. And then it just builds so gradually and it just sneaks up on you, you know, with these kind of amazingly intricate but still subtle sounding kind of rhythms and layers. So let's go ahead and hear our next clip from this one. So listening to this right now, it actually sounds kind of mellow, but in the context of the song, as it slowly builds, that actually kind of feels like, a bit of a climax in the song. It kind of hits you with some impact. That's kind of just how subtle it is, but it's subtle in this really captivating way that, just pulls you in. And so this style of music is referred to as krautrock. I told you we'd get back to krauts, and here we go. Back to the krauts. And it was originally like a lot of things. It was a pejorative term, kind of just sort of making fun of this style of music. And then, turned out people like it. And then it became sort of like the term for this genre of rock. And other artists, of course, Kraftwerk, and then the offshoot from Kraftwerk, Neu, and then Tangerine Dream, and there's some American precursors like Silver Apples and stuff like that. But it was pretty big in the 70s, and it was more of not big, it was an underground scene with some pretty diehard fans, I would have to say. Very experimental, and it definitely influenced a lot of other artists. But let's move on now to track 2. We got Spray. Oh, and this is an album where I can actually talk about every track because there's only 4 of them. It's so funky, but it's just like laid back and just, it's so cool. Let's hear the next one. So with this clip, you can feel it building, you're getting the bonga or whatever it was, building into it. And then let's go right into clip 3 here. So we can show that, So what's kind of interesting about this music is it's kind of this rhythmic pulsing thing, and it just builds and layers are added, things are taken away, then built back up, and it's all really subtle, but it's almost like, in that Seinfeld sense where nothing happens, right? It's not like about anything where you have like the structure with the verse, chorus, verse, and that sort of thing, and it doesn't really feel like a lot of traditional music, but there's something that's just really very interesting and, rewarding about just sticking with it, because it's I think most of us enjoyed it, but it might not be for everybody, because not everybody's going to have enough patience to listen to like 2.5 minutes of silence at the beginning of the album, kind of like, well, I'm sure this is going to go somewhere. But if you are willing to wait for it, I promise you it is worth it. But we get into our next track. This is more of like their kind of standard rock song on the album. We got Moonshake. And one of the cool things about this music in general is that it kind of has this unstable feeling. It's not like chaotic unstable, but it's just like it could shift at any moment, and you never know when it's going to shift, when it might build, when it might fall back, And I think that's one of the things that kind of keeps you in it too, because it's stable, steady, but enough is changing and like unpredictable that it kind of keeps you like wanting to hear more. And our last track is actually side 2, the entire side 2 of the original LP. It's like over 20 minutes.
Yes.
We have Bel Air. So it's just like a subtle intro, kind of this meditative way to bring you in, and now we're going to move on to clip 2. Nash? Some of those pulsing rhythms that are characteristic of krautrock, atmospheric sounds, just building. And actually, let's just stick right with it. This is going right into the next track. Let's stick to it. God, I love that transition. It just almost feels like it's a different song. So with that unpredictability, that's what I was talking about, just kind of the settle and then the shift. And it's just, in its own way, it's just so funky. I was kind of just dancing right there to myself, but hey. Anyhow, let's go on to our next one. We got 2 more from this song. I don't know, just each one of these clips, I feel like you could just sort of take that, expand upon it, and make your own new song out of it. That's kind of how I feel when I listen to this. It's almost like you can collage it and just keep making new things out of it. It's just kind of, for me, it's inspirational. All right, let's hear the last clip from this. And so that's kind of the climactic build at the very end here. And I'm gonna read a little quick review of this album. It's by a well-known critic in our circles. So here it goes. The opening track feels like a journey down the river to the Amazon shaman. Will I see the snake? Will the vine provide healing? Future days will tell. The hut is sprayed with the contents of my stomach and my ego starts to die. The real journey has begun. The night air moves me. I dance and moonshake. My life is getting turned upside down. I look at my kingdom and I'm finally there to sit on my throne as the Prince of Bel Air.
Brilliant. That guy's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know who wrote that, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, whoever he is.
Chuck, you know who wrote that?
Just want to let him know.
Dumb idiot.
Awesome.
That was, of course, a review by our very own Chuck. So thank you for that. I think that really encapsulates the whole mood and the feel and the flow of that album. It is a journey that you're going on. And it's quite a fun one. If you do need a little patience, but I promise you it will pay off. And multiple listens to this album indeed do pay off. So, Future Days, for me, it's my favorite Can album. They have other good ones, Tago Mago, Ege Bamyasi, But, this one, it just really flows all the way through. Because sometimes their experiments did kind of... they could rub you the wrong way a little bit. This one, though, it's just like a really nice groove all the way through. And as I mentioned before, it's krautrock, and it was really influential, because it was like bands like, Can, Kraftwerk, Noi, Tangerine Dream, and it influenced lots of other bands that came out after them. Like you can hear a lot of influence on the Talking Heads and Brian Eno, and then of course, Sonic Youth and Stereolab and all sorts of other bands that came after them. So love this album, and it has had a pretty big impact on music. And for me, this is a 5-star album for me all the way. Let's go to the top of our list with Chuck.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this album, and I'd listened to a handful of the tracks, maybe one. I think I had listened.
A handful is like 3/4 of the album.
Well, I think I had listened to the singles, is what I.
So probably Moonshake or something.
Yeah, and sadly, like I've had so many people tell me you got to listen to Can. I think you were one.
I recommended this album to you a while ago, and all I got was crickets.
I know. Well, you find yourself throughout the day, like at least I do, listening to music that my son will listen to with me.
Yeah.
And this is not something that he necessarily will listen to with me.
I do get that.
Yeah. But listening to it and listening to your review and the samples, it's amazing. And I'm like kicking myself because I haven't listened to it more, and I need to go through all of their albums and do a deep dive. I definitely do see that influence, like on Stereolab and Yellow Tango and a whole bunch of other bands, and it's amazing, And so I'm gonna preemptively give it. I'm gonna give it a 4.5, but I could definitely see my rating going to a 5. Just other albums we've been exposed to. So
that makes sense, because honestly, I wasn't a 5 like the first few times I heard it. It took a while before it, and then the more I listened to it, it just like it hit me, and I'm like, all right, I did 5 all the way. But anyway,
it's really, I mean, and I definitely think it's headphone music, because like listening.
Oh, we're already
to
done, Chuck. We're moving on.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to be a dick. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, like listening to the samples you just played in my headphones, I was picking up on so much more.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think there was a bird or something. I don't know.
Well, you know, I hear something new every time too.
I'm pretty sure
so,
that you're high.
you know, No, I'm not. Actually, I'm not. But, I look forward to listening to those little nuances.
I thought you were going to say you're going
Probably
to
at
celebrate.
night
Yeah.
before
Yes. And definitely not when you're high. Of course. All right. Thank you so much, Chuck. All right, let's go to Jake.
On this is a 4-star album for me.
nice.
On first listen, it was okay, and I did go back to this one because it was just that intriguing. Loved the breakdown, and I think you're right about the patience. I think that's spot on analysis. Love the clips. Yeah, it's 4 stars for me.
Thank you so much. All right, Jake. Sorry, not Jake. Not you again, Mike.
Oh, good.
So
This
nice
is
you're
a
doing it
4-star
twice.
album for me. I loved your breakdown. Spot on the.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I first heard.
We'll go to Mike
Sorry,
now.
Mike.
I first heard Can on a playlist made up of songs that Fish plays between sets and before and after their show, which is just a treasure trove. And this band blew me away. So I was happy to see it pop up on the list. Love it. It's just right up my alley. Long songs that go nowhere is my jam. But yeah, allow yourself to just seep into it and you will find it incredible as well. I gave it a 4.9. I don't want to copy Jordan.
4.9. I'm sorry. Can you explain why you deducted the 10th of a point?
Well, Jordan, I do
There's
like
gotta
some
be a
of
good
their
reason.
other albums a little bit more. And, I would have liked for them to extend each track by about 15 minutes. And so I had to drop it down a tenth.
Well,
It's understandable.
I guess they could have made a quadruple album or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, when you're really getting into it and they just cut it off after 20, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
How dare they?
Yeah, I get you on that. Okay, I would deduct a 10th of a point for that, but I'll stick with my 5. All right, last but not least, we got Ryan.
I'm going to give this a 4.6. I did enjoy it too. I'm familiar a little bit with them, but never listened in deep dive, and actually went and listened to a whole bunch more Can after this too. And there's a lot of really good stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I'm looking forward to listening to more and more of it. I do agree with Chuck. I think it'll grow as well. But I really loved it. I thought it was great.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Amazing, great review. On to myself with The Sounds of India by Ravi Shankar. Now, you might not know this, but Ravi used to be a dancer before, he started playing around with the sitar. And he didn't get into the sitar until he was 18. But luckily, he had an amazing teacher. He got into it. He started playing. Just a little fun fact to draw you in. You may know that he's a father of a very famous sitar virtuoso, and we also had her album come up. Anybody know the name of that person?
What was it? Anushka. Do you know he's a father of another very famous musician?
That was my next thing.
Okay, I will. All right,
Jordan,
I'll back off.
no, I was going to ask you.
Oh, this is fun.
is
Let's pull
that
up the
other-
Wheel of Fortune.
Who is that other?
Yeah.
Do you want me to answer? Because I
Like
know.
to buy a vowel.
She does a
Is
great
that- well, let's see if
Wilco
anybody
cover.
else knows, because I know. Jordan
Okay, I
knows.
know. It's someone else.
Anybody else know? I will give you $100. Don't no.
Can't I get
I'm
$100
Googling
too?
it. I'm
Time's up.
Googling it. Fucking
Time's
A.
up. No,
Yeah.
time's up. Jordan, say it.
Nora Jones.
Nora Jones.
Oh.
Did anybody know
Great
that?
Wilco cover.
Nora Jones. She.
Nora Jones is good, man.
I know, but who would have thought that it's Ravi Shankar's daughter?
He gets around.
She had a different first name, and she had a Shankar as last name, but they had they had some distance between them. They didn't talk for like 10 years, but they reconnected, and it was all good. But I just wanted to kick it off with a fun fact. Anyway, this album's unique. It's his second album, and what's unique about it is he has a whole bunch of, spoken explanations for what's going on in the type of music that he's playing. Let's hear some of that right now, Nash.
Ragas are precise melody forms. A raga is not a mere scale,
Don't be confused. It's not a scale.
Nor is it a mode.
Yeah. So he goes on a little bit about that, tells you the basics of it. We'll pick that up in just a second. This is only a 3-piece band. Ravi on sitar. I can't pronounce these Indian names. Chatur Lal on tabla, which are the drums. And NC. Oh, I appreciate those. Whatever his real name is. Thank you for going by NC Mulik with the tambura, which is the droning instrument in the back. Let's hear a little bit more about each of those. We'll go one by one through his explanation.
Microtones and stresses on particular notes like this.
So he's talking about microtones. Anybody know there's a really like hip band right now that everybody's into that's doing microtonal stuff.
I love it too.
What is it?
Augustine
Taylor Swift.
De Pontaine or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I can't pronounce them.
They are so rad.
It is pretty cool. They wear crazy costumes. You can
I'll
see
play
them on
some
YouTube.
of it after this.
But okay, let's go on to the next instrument in the introduction track.
With the tambura, the drone instrument in the background.
Oh, no, sorry. The drone.
The soloist does a free improvisation.
So there's a combination of improv and, set parts to it. And then next he's going to just explain the drums real quick.
Which keeps this framework, just plays the thekas or beats in the beginning, as you heard just now. Then starts the gradual progression of playing first smaller patterns, then longer ones. In the beginning, the accompanying tabla gives, if I may say so, a reply to the lead instrument.
So what he's saying is like a little
polite.
call and response between the drums and the sitar, which is super cool. Okay, and the last track, I'm not sure why I include so many tracks of him talking, but
an open and relaxed mind, without expecting to hear harmony, counterpoint, or other elements prominent in Western music.
Oh yeah, he's telling you how to enjoy
Neither
this.
should our music be thought of as akin to jazz, despite the improvisation and exciting rhythms present.
Don't confuse
in
it
both
with
kinds of
jazz,
music.
okay? Just open your mind, listen to it. Let's get into one of the actual songs. And so you can do that. So I encourage everybody to just take a deep breath, open your mind, and listen. So at first it's just sitar. He's kind of setting the mood. He doesn't get into it yet, but then every single song, the ragas, build and build till the end. And these are also super long songs, so of course I'm into it. But by the time we get to the end of Dadra, that track we're listening to, you can really hear some hardcore stuff that even GI would, they were probably mimicking this guy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, right? And it's not just, 4/4 time. These cycles can go 7, 10, 16 beats. In fact, each of the tracks kind of does something a little bit different, which I can appreciate. Let's go towards the peak of another track, Cindy Baharavi. I gotta say, it's just not landing in clips like this. It really doesn't do it justice because it really is kind of this, almost the same as Can, where it's it's almost hypnotic, and you have to kind of let yourself kind of get into it. But as you may know, George Harrison kind of, helped make this music a little bit more popular. He met Ravi in London, and then ended up using that on which song? Within You or Without You on Sgt. Pepper. He also made a couple famous live performances at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967 and Woodstock in 1969. But this album was produced by George Evakin, who was working with Miles Davis and Louis Armstrong. But don't confuse it with jazz, because it's not jazz. Anyway, I feel like I didn't do it justice, but check it out for yourself. Ravi Shankar, Sounds of India. I gave it a 4.2. What about you, Jake?
Well, it sounded so much like jazz. I really can appreciate the jazz aspects of it. Yeah, jazz all the way.
What's the score? Your rating?
Oh, yeah. Look, thank you. I think your breakdown was really helpful. I liked that part about him, that opening track of him explaining and breaking down this music, because it's not as widely known. Obviously, it certainly wasn't at the time. Probably not as widely known even now. But I certainly liked that part. There were definitely parts of the album that I could get into. Am I going to go back to it and listen to it multiple times? Absolutely not. But yeah, solid 3 stars.
All right. Not too shabby. Ryan, what about you?
You know what? I'm going to give this a 4.2 because I love the explanation of everything, and I was really fascinated by it. And I just wanted to play a little bit of that microtonal shit.
Oh, yeah. These guys are crazy.
And I've been getting way into this whole thing, and I thought that it was interesting because, they kind of fit in with that.
Yeah, it does have a similar sound.
So the trick is watch some of that stuff on the YouTubes because it's fun. Those guys are so fun to watch live because he's got a double neck guitar and the whole thing. But to me,
it's a bass and a guitar.
And the drummer is amazing. Anyways, this had elements of that, and it was at the same time that I kind of discovered was listening to this and then saw the Poti or whatever the fuck it is, and I very distinctly have a memory of driving down the 91 freeway listening to this. So there's like time and place. So as soon as I started to hear it again, I was back at that place very recently. But it's interesting when music does that. The point is, it kind of brought me to a different spot. And I'm not used to that with music. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really amazing. So anyways, there you go.
Nice.
So just to recap, sorry, Ryan was 4.2, is that correct? Ryan?
Oh, we'll have to rewind the tape. I think I was... 4.2 sounds about right.
All right, and Jake,
play the bankrupt sound right.
That was a solid 4, a full 4.
Just a 4?
Except that you were a 3.
Jake, are you just a 3, Jake?
I was just a 3. My bad.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
I remember his, but not mine.
You should do that more often, Jordan.
Yeah, because Jake, I totally tuned out when you were speaking, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Oh crap! I'm supposed to write down his."
I get it.
And you tuned out when I was speaking too, apparently.
No, I marked it at the beginning, and then I'm like, "Wait, did I forget to put a decimal?" Or was it actually a 4?
All right. Anyway, let's go on to Chuck.
I enjoyed this album. I had an interesting experience because apparently the cover for the album is used on another album of his. And I sort of like that album better. So that might have negatively influenced my opinion a little. I do find it interesting that he definitely puts it out there. Don't get it confused with jazz. I'm assuming he's talking about the improvisational aspect of jazz.
Yep.
But I mean,
because this is structured.
Yeah.
Well, he talks about the structure at the beginning of each, but yeah, obviously there's a lot of improv within that structure. But
yeah. So I guess in a way, maybe he's paying, he's giving props to all the ragas that have come before him, and I don't know, but I enjoyed it. I will say another interesting microtonal band to check out if you haven't is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yeah, those guys.
Amazing guitar work. I'm going to give this album a 3.
Right on, right on. And last but not least, Jordan.
I was debating with this one. I was between, I'm just going to go up to a 4. Why not? Let's do that.
Why not?
Because I do see that this is really important, and it was very significant in the way that it introduced this form of music to people who weren't familiar with it before. And I enjoyed the breakdowns, and it was very informative. But it kind of, as far as just a listening experience goes, I felt it was a little disruptive, and I didn't feel like I was able to get into the music as much.
Didn't you feel at times he might have even been annoyed about doing it himself? Like it was like some AR person said, "No, we're going to do an album where you break everything down."
There's a good
and
chance.
he's like, "I guess."
Well,
maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, Chuck's good at reading those sort of microaggressions in voices, so I'll go with you on that. But it's not something I'm going to listen to all the time, but I really did enjoy it. And also with the Beatles with George Harrison, my favorite sitar it's the most basic use of it, I would say.
Wood?
That's right, Norwegian wood. Love that, because it just adds a really nice tone to the song, and he's not kind of like, jamming out in his own way. But anyway, well done, Ravi.
Yeah.
4 stars.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. And the last album of the week is Meat is Murder by the Smiths.
Hi, everyone. So the Meat is Murder. It's funny because Morrissey's a prick, and he is. It's funny, kind of reading about this. The cover of this, I'm going to go right into the Jake territory with the cover. It's got the dude with the helmet, and it did say "Make War, Not Love," and then they scratched it out and put "Meat is Murder" on the album cover. Didn't ask the motherfucker that it was in the picture. Later on, he came back and said, "Oh, those dicks took it. I'm not very fond of that," or their whole scene, which I think is hilarious. That kind of goes on that whole side of Morrissey, being a big ego and everything else. But God damn it, Marr and all the rest of them are so good. Andy Rourke, the bass player, the thing that I started to get out of a lot of this was the bass parts. And I've been recording a band that is a cover band of the Smiths and Morrissey. And had a chance to record in Devo's drummer's studio and that kind of stuff with those guys, and had a lot of fun with it, and have been introduced to a lot of Smith's music. Now, this album is not the music that I'm familiar with. The only thing that I really knew about was Barbarism. So I was excited to see the album. And as it played through, I didn't really like it that much. However, when I went back to listen to it today to get the tracks out, I started to find a lot of stuff that was decent. And once again, it all boils down to the shit that doesn't have Morrissey whining about his fucking pathetic life. Now, there is some lyrics in there that I thought were really clever, and I'll highlight that in a second. But I'm just going to go into the Headmaster. I think this highlights really nice instrumentation, and the drums are always just kind of a pulsing thing. The drums are a lot harder than I thought they were. I think they're just kind of drowning in reverb most of the time, but the drums come through really solidly in this. And the guy that plays in the cover band, he plays all sorts of different music. He can play Bonham. He can play a bunch of really good hardcore punk. I knew him from a punk band, so like those type of things. You don't expect the Smiths to have that much, gravitas at the bottom, but they really do, and I love it. By the big wheel generator, a boy is stopped when his money is grabbed, and the air hangs heavy like a gulling wine. She is famous, she is funny, an engagement ring. So listen to that bass part. The bass is all over the place. It sounds great. The drums are awesome.
I like that gravitas at the bottom. That could be the title for the episode.
Well, I'm not sure. I think I'm being made fun of.
No, I liked it. I genuinely liked it. You're a little sensitive, right?
With some gravitas.
Don't pull a Morrissey on us, man.
Yeah.
I don't think he was sensitive at all. I think he's just a dick. I'm going to write that down, though, real quick. Gravitas at the bottom. Okay, so anyways, squirrel. So Oh, I lost my place. Okay, what you said. Start. Okay, hold on. Here we are. Now this track. And as soon as he starts singing, you're like, fuck, man, why do you got to do that? But I thought
sample.
coming in, it has that jam, you know? I'm just going to go through all these that kind of have that same kind of feel. Fuck you. Oh, yeah, so this one here, this has a line in it that is really kind of appropriate and it sums up Morrissey. Oh, no, it's the next one. Sorry. God damn, I'm all fucked up. Here it is. Bear with me.
And when I'm lying in my bed, I think about life and I think about death, and neither one particularly appeals to me.
Now, I do think that is a clever lyric, but that's about the only thing on the album where I thought it was clever. I do think he does have times where lyrics kind of do their thing, and maybe people are into it, but it's not my gig. But this here... That's just good. That's just a good clip. And the music, the architecture, the fact that he was using sound effects. Mara was into a bunch of BBC sound effects, apparently, and throwing that stuff in. I think that's amazing. And that sound, to me, is what, you know, I can go back for. And I think it's lost in the you know, just kind of buried in how good that stuff is.
A crack on the head is what you get for not asking. And a crack on the head is what you get for asking.
So Morrissey's version of "You're damned if you do, damned if you don't," you know, that kind of thing. But I'm just going to play the beginning of this song, though. That is a great bass line, and it interweaves so nicely with the guitar and everything else. It's like the music is amazing. Anyway, so that I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to give it like I'm going to upgrade my rating to 3 because of listening to it again, because I did find, and I actually want to listen to it again in more context, and I love some of the Smiths have really come up and bitten me. I've really gotten the bug on him, but this album I'm gonna have to keep trying. But anyways, I'm gonna go over to Jake and see what he's got to say.
Yeah, it's not anything I'm going to go back to time and time again. That's for sure. It didn't really do a whole lot for me when you know this was in our area, right? I mean, we were growing up with this kind of music, and it didn't do anything for me then. Doesn't do anything for me now. It just seems so emotional. You know, you could really gotta be in the right state of mind for this one to really hit, I think. Yeah. So for me, 2 stars.
Okay. And Mike?
Yeah. You know, I went to high school with a guy that looked just like Morrissey. You guys know Jackson. For a while, he was trying to pull that look. And my wife is also a huge fan of Morrissey.
She had the Meet His Murder sticker on her car.
She's it all. We've been to the shows. It's terrible. But but this album puts together, like you said, Ryan, a fantastic bassist, amazing guitarist. So because of those things, I ended up giving it a 3.5.
Wow. Right on. Okay.
Love you, Melissa.
Good for you. Well, and I think there is some Smith stuff out there. It's definitely in the 4 to 5 category.
Yeah, sure.
Later on. Jordan, what do you think?
I'm a little torn on this one. The music is amazing. Johnny Marr just rocks. Remember when we saw him with Modest Mouse? That was so good. Like,
oh my God.
God, it was so good. So yeah, 3.5 for me because Morrissey was just getting on my nerves on this album.
Whiny.
Though. Yeah, whiny and just headache-inducing.
And that last song is so fucking bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I might be regretting that. But the clips you played, it reminds me of why I actually like the Smiths.
Yeah.
But I had a hard time with the album. It wasn't like, horrific. It just like wasn't pleasant at all times. But I think I might like the American version of the album better because it starts off with How Soon Is Now.
Right.
Side B. One of my favorite songs, but not included on the British version, so it was not part of this. So 3.5.
Lame.
Well, and the other part too. This is their second album. I mean, so I guess it is their sophomore effort. I should have mentioned that earlier, but
well, that changes everything. Now it's a 2.
You should have known better by now.
And it did. They had that producer that kind of did those, like the song you were talking about too, that kind of came in on this and kept going with them for a while. Anyway, so Chuck.
Yeah, I mean, I think you picked some really good samples and showing the smidgens of genius on this album. But I kept listening to it and going, wait, I like the Smiths. Why am I not enjoying this album? And I listened to it again and I was like, And then I listened to The Queen Is Dead. And I'm like, this album is amazing. And, I dug a little deep and I read that, Morrissey and Johnny Marr were not really happy with the outcome of this album, and they felt that the record company was putting a lot of pressure on them, and they were distracted when they were recording it. And I think that really shows. Like, there's moments that are beautiful and well done, and then it just doesn't really come together, and it seems disjointed. Whereas some of their other albums are just perfect. I highly recommend people to check out Queen Is Dead. I think that's a 4.55 album. This is a 2 for me.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
All right.
Well, boys, that's all for this week.
Yeah,
Jordan, where did we end up in the ratings?
Let me just figure out. My tabulations are done, and let me just take a quick peek here. Oh, well, coming in at 5th place, we have the Germs with 1.94 stars.
Thanks.
4th place, the Smiths, 2.8 stars. Coming in at 3rd, we have Ravi Shankar with 3.68. And it was actually reasonably close between Can and the Beatles, but Can is coming in at 2nd with 4.7, and the Beatles top us with 4.9 this week.
Yeah, as it should.
Top us.
Nipping at the heels of John and McCartney.
That's right. Watch out, suckers. Well, this has been 1001 An Album Odyssey. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram and that other thing I can never remember. Snapchat. No. TikTok.
TikTok.
Anyway, what's most important is that you have a good week. So have a good week.